Today in the news, Intel wants you to fix their power problems, Raptor Lake is quite efficient, and more. What's up guys, I'm Snows, and this is your boot sequence. Let's get started with Intel. So the ARC A750 and A770 are finally out, and the reviews are actually pretty favorable. I mean, it's fine for gaming when it works, and it has a great encoder that can make this card last years for media PCs. Plus, its price to performance is not that bad. The main issue, which we all called out, was the drivers. But it seems like there's another issue, and I haven't heard it be brought up by many outlets, only a couple of them. And that problem is idle power consumption. The two ARC GPUs, the A750 and A770, actually top every modern GPUs when it comes to power draw. Computerbase and techpowerup noted power consumption of around 45 watts. That's at idle. You're doing absolutely nothing on your PC. Now, to put that into perspective, a GPU with similar performance, like a 6650 XT, only draws 5 watts at idle, and the RTX 3060, 11 watts. I mean, even the 3090 consumes significantly less at around 25 watts. This might seem pretty trivial, and for someone in my position, it is. I live in an area where electricity is super cheap. Like a year of this running at idle 24/7 will only cost me $30-ish. But if you live elsewhere, it can be a good chunk of change, from $60 all the way up to $150 extra a year. Thankfully, Intel has a solution, but they're not gonna fix it for you. It seems like their drivers are so bad that some things just can't be changed. So Intel is saying that you have to go into your PC's BIOS and do this. Allow OS controlled ASPM by setting native ASPM to enabled, enable PCI Express root port ASPM, and select L1 substates. After that, you have to go to Windows. Yes, this is a BIOS and Windows change, and you follow these instructions to change the PCIe's power management. If you were thinking about upgrading an all-in-one PC from companies like HP, Dell, or whatever with an ARC GPU, maybe avoid ARC altogether, since their BIOS is often incomplete and locks you out of some features. Look, I'm all for buying an Intel GPU, but it's because I have experience with troubleshooting them. At this point, I would never recommend Intel GPUs to a computer newbie. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know down below. On the other side of Intel, that's their CPU division, the 13900K seems to be an insanely efficient chip. Now, don't get me wrong, when I say efficient, I don't mean it in the stock sense. At stock, this thing will probably consume over 250 watts, and even more wattage if you let it do its thing and run in unlimited power mode. I think we saw almost 400 watts. But when you limit its power consumption, it's extremely efficient. To match the performance of a 12900K with unlimited power mode, remember, that's a 12900K that runs at around 350 watts. So to match that, the 13900K only needs about 80 watts. This was tested on Cinebench R23 by none other than Enthusiastic Citizen on Bilibili. Still though, that's not as good as the 7950X from AMD, which can beat the 12900K at a measly 65 watts. So AMD is still the efficiency king here. Personally, I'm super excited about the lower end models and how efficient those could be. Specifically, the 13600K, since it's apparently the lowest end for Raptor Lake. There are other 13th gen models like the 13600 and 13400, but those are allegedly based on Alder Lake and just tuned and branded as Raptor Lake. Moving on, let's do our free game check. If you like survival horror, but you don't like cheap and easy jump scares, you can get Darkwood right now for free on the Epic Store. I gotta say, the art style on this one looks great. It's almost a decade old and it still holds up. Speaking of decades, Toe Jam and Earl, that name. A 30-something-year-old game has been remastered a couple of years ago, and this one too is free on the Epic Store. The original one looks better in my opinion. And if you wait until Thursday, there's also the RPGs Evoland 1 and 2 for free, and Fallout 3. I never played that specific Fallout. I'll definitely give this one a try since apparently it's in the top 2 from the whole Fallout franchise. Anyways, guys, that is pretty much it for today's video. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Drop a like if you liked it, a comment if you want to talk about today's stories. I looked over there because I have a second camera. I don't know if it's going to make it into the video. Anyways, click right here to see the latest video, right here to subscribe to the channel. Stay frosty, my dudes, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. If that footage doesn't make it in, I'm going to look real stupid. Anyways, goodbye.